It all begins with Wei Sio, a quick-tongued brothel boy who stumbles into the world of secret societies and palace politics. Tricked into joining the Heaven and Earth Society, he's sent undercover to serve the young emperor. But instead of loyalty, he double deals everyone, befriending the emperor, fooling ruthless generals, and even seducing martial arts beauties. Armed with nothing but lies, luck, and shameless charm, this street punk becomes one of the most powerful men in the Qing dynasty. Without ever throwing a real punch, Sio finessed his way into power with zero kung fu. Surely you can finesse that subscribe button with one click. Don't make me pull out the secret sutra. After being exposed as the fake Empress Dowager, Lung Er returns to the divine Dragon Sect camp. The sect leader questions her failure. Lung Er shifts the blame onto Sio, insisting he ruined her efforts. The Dragon Master wonders if Sio possesses great kung fu, powerful magic, or irresistible charm. Lung Er denies all of these. The Master then warns her to be cautious of him during her next mission. She tells Lung Er that she feels her end is near and wants Lung Er to succeed her. She reminds her of their true mission, to support Sam Kwai, the king of Ping Si, in overthrowing the young emperor and claiming the throne. Lung Er must protect him at all costs and dedicate herself fully to his rise. The Dragon Master also cautions her about their sect's unique kung fu. If she loses her virginity, 80% of her power will be transferred to the man who takes it. With that warning, she abdicates her title and passes leadership to Lung Er. The scene shifts to Sio lounging at the brothel where he once worked alongside Duo Long. Sio steps away to relieve himself, but is suddenly ambushed by disciples of One-Arm Nun, an anti-Qing revolutionary. They believe he betrayed the Ming dynasty by serving the young emperor and intend to kill him. Fortunately, they do not know him by face. Thinking quickly, Sio tricks them by pointing to Duo Long, claiming he is Sio. Duo Long flees in panic and the disciples give chase. This buys Sio time, and his men soon subdue them. Captivated by their beauty, Sio tries to fool the women further, attempting to get close to them. His fun is interrupted by Ying Hung, the son of Sam Kwai, who exposes his antics to the girls. Annoyed that this stranger spoiled his game, Sio orders his men to teach him a lesson. But Lung Er, now disguised as Ying Hung's young male bodyguard, easily fends them off. Sio and Duo Long are summoned back to the palace to arrange dinner for the visitors, which turns out to be Ying Hung. At the palace, Sio sets aside his conflict with Ying Hung and his bodyguard, realizing that he is familiar with the emperor. The emperor then announces that his sister, Princess Qin Ning, will marry Ying Hung. This shocks Sio. The emperor assigns him as the Imperial Inspector General of the wedding march, ensuring that he can keep watch over Sam Kwai, whom he suspects of harboring treacherous intentions. With Aobai's reign ended, the emperor knows there are still factions that oppose him. He identifies Chan Kan Nam, the One-Arm Nun, Anun, and Sam Kwai as active threats. He hopes that agreeing to marry his sister off to Sam Kwai's son will secure loyalty, despite knowing that Sam Kwai is secretly supported by the Divine Dragon Sect. He is also aware that the scheme with the fake Empress Dowager was orchestrated by Sam Kwai. The emperor admits the princess would never willingly marry Ying Hung, so he tells Sio to act as though he is persuading her, buying time while they secretly plan Sam Kwai's downfall. Later, Sio delivers the shocking news to the princess about her marriage. She reveals an even greater surprise. She is pregnant with his child. Both are left uncertain about their next move. During the marriage procession, the One-Armed Nun and her disciple Akko ambush the group, aiming to kill the emperor. The emperor's guards, along with Lung Er, engage them in a fierce fight, protecting the emperor at all costs. Unable to reach him, the nun and her disciple seize Ying Hung and Sio and flee. On the way, the One-Armed Nun and Akko debate who to kill first. Akko suggests killing Sio because he's cunning. Sio reminds them that Ying Hung is the son of their greatest enemy, Sam Kwai. The nun orders Akko to strike Ying Hung, but she hesitates, remembering how he once saved her and the other disciple during their failed attempt at the brothel. Just then, Lung Er appears with 2 guards and attacks. The One-Armed Nun and Akko manage to knock them out. Siobo also kills one of the guards with a hidden gun, but pretends it was done with his fingers, claiming he has secret kung fu powers. Ying-hung tries to escape, but one-armed nun swiftly puts him to sleep. To save himself, Siobo reveals that he isn't loyal to the throne. He claims he is a member of the Heaven and Earth Society, sent by Chan Kan Nam to act as an undercover spy. One-armed nun is pleased to hear this, but Ako remains doubtful and continues to distrust him. Siobo begs one-armed nun to be taken as her student so he can learn kung fu, though in truth, it's only a ploy to get close to Ako. The nun decides to bring both Siobo and Ying-hung with her. Later, they arrive at an inn, and Siobo runs into Duo Long, who's disguised as a woman. Siobo excitedly tells him he plans to seduce Ako using a powerful aphrodisiac. Just inhaling it will even make her lose control. Meanwhile, Ako is guarding Ying-hung to prevent him from escaping. He writes on the floor, asking her to lift the deaf and mute spell one-armed nun has cast on him. She obliges, and he pleads with her to help him escape. At first, she hesitates, fearing the nun's wrath, but Ying-hung confesses his love for her and suggests they elope together. While they talk, Siobo enters. The two pretend nothing is happening. Siobo stylishly sprinkles the aphrodisiac powder on a chair for Ako to sit on. Unexpectedly, the nun arrives instead and takes the seat to speak with Ying-hung. When Siobo sees no effect on her, he breathes a sigh of relief until she suddenly starts chasing him in a frenzy. He dodges, and the nun turns her attention to Duo Long, still disguised as a woman. Amid the chaos, Ying-hung suggests to Ako that they seize the opportunity and escape. Her fellow disciple, Ah Nong, overhears and tries to intervene. Ako knocks her out and finally elopes with Ying-hung. Just then, Lung-er arrives in her true form, accompanied by 4 Dragon Sect sisters. This time, Duo Long hands Siobo over to her. He is stunned to see her dressed as a woman. Lung-er reminds him of her promise that they would meet again. Siobo then realizes she was the fake Empress Dowager. Flustered, he admits she looks even more beautiful now. Lung-er then battles one-armed nun in her quest to capture Ying-hung. When she fails to find him, she takes Siobo with her instead. On their way back, Lung-er suddenly weakens from her wounds and forces Siobo to carry her. He reluctantly does, bringing her to the Dragon Sect camp. There, they're greeted by Ying-hung and his father's imperial officer, Feng Sekfan, who thank Lung-er for training troops to help overthrow the Qing dynasty. As a token of gratitude, they present her with a fine wine, unaware that it has been poisoned. Sam Kwai, Ying-hung's father, never intended to honor the Dragon Sect. He only used them, and now seeks to erase them. When Lung-er discovers the betrayal and orders their arrest, she realizes her followers have already defected, pledging loyalty to Ying-hung. Sekfan cruelly tells her that unless she sleeps with a man before dawn, the poison will kill her painfully. Barely able to stand, Lung-er escapes with Siobo. Though he is sleazy and shameless, his blunt honesty moves her, and in desperation she chooses him. She knows sleeping with him will save her life, but also strip away most of her martial arts power. It's a bitter trade, but better than dying and letting Sam Kwai get away with his betrayal. By dawn, Lung-er and Siobo are bound not only by survival but by intimacy. She now treats him as her partner, even urging him to avenge the Dragon Sect. Siobo agrees, since he now wields great kung fu skills. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Duo Long assumes Siobo has died and delivers the tragic news to the princess, who is devastated. He even begins preparing a grand burial for him. But to everyone's shock, Siobo suddenly reappears. Duo Long pretends to be relieved, though secretly he resents him and dreams of replacing him. Siobo, aware of his scheme, uses him to his advantage. He sends Duo Long to the market with instructions to recite a Heaven and Earth Society code, promising he'll meet an ally. His quest leads him to Sam Kwai's palace. In reality, the code brands him as a rebel. Duo Long unknowingly blurts it to Sam Kwa, even showing off a tattoo Siobo had marked on his back, which reads, "Overthrow the Qing dynasty, restore the Ming dynasty, and kill Sam Kwai." Sam Kwai flies into a rage and orders Duo Long beaten. As chaos erupts, the princess arrives with Siobo, and Duo Long narrowly escapes. Siobo accuses Sam Kwai of assaulting the emperor's imperial courtier, turning the tables. The princess grants Duo Long the right to revenge, sparking mayhem in the palace. In the chaos, Ying Hung is wounded. The princess takes him aside to tend his own injuries, but it's a ruse. He castrates Ying Hung, later claiming he tried to assault her and she acted in self-defense. Siobo blames him for his impatience since she's already betrothed to him. Ying Hung's injury leaves him impotent, ending Sam Kwai's bloodline. Enraged, Sam Kwai vows revenge. He orders Sekfan to rally their troops and march against the emperor at once. Sekfan tries to reason with him, warning they're not yet ready for open battle, but Sam Kwai refuses to wait. He commands Sekfan specifically to eliminate the princess and Siobo. With Ying Hung unable to continue his lineage, and the princess already carrying Siobo's child, he takes her as his third wife. He brings her and Duo Long to the Heaven and Earth Society camp, where he introduces them to his other wives, along with Lung Er, who has now become his fourth wife. This immediately stirs jealousy in the princess. Not long after, Khan Nam arrives with urgent news. Sam Kwai is mobilizing to attack the emperor and intends to kidnap the princess as leverage. To safeguard her, he orders Duo Long to escort her away. Khan Nam then speaks privately with Siobo, declaring that the Qing dynasty will soon fall and the Ming will rise again. Siobo asks him why he's still bent on rebelling. Awobai, the man responsible for countless atrocities, is already dead, and life under the Qing dynasty has been relatively peaceful since. Siobo learns that the conflict is less about justice and more about Khan Nam's personal vendetta. Before the debate can continue, Sekfan storms the camp with his forces. Siobo fends them off, but Khan Nam tells him to escape with Lung Er. Khan Nam clashes fiercely with Sekfan in a brutal duel, but in the end, Sekfan proves stronger and strikes him down. On the way to the palace, Siobo and Lung Er encounter one-armed nun. She has captured Ying Hung and Ahko, who were hiding. She hands them over to Siobo, leaving their fate in his hands. Siobo contemplates executing Ying Hung and sparing Ahko, but Ying Hung begs for mercy. Surprisingly, Siobo relents, pardoning both and even claiming Ahko as his fifth wife. As a gesture of trust, the nun presents him with the sacred sutra of 42 chapters. Returning to the palace, Siobo is stunned to see Sekfan newly appointed as a high-ranking courtier. Having betrayed Sam Kwai, Sekfan revealed both his master's rebellion and Khan Nam's plot to the emperor, earning the emperor's trust. The emperor, however, has suspicions about Siobo's ties to the Heaven and Earth Society. To prove his loyalty, he orders Siobo to execute Khan Nam himself. The demand leaves Siobo conflicted and furious. In frustration, he hurls the sacred sutra into the fire, only to discover hidden stones inside the pages that do not burn. The stones reveal secret coordinates to the legendary treasure that every faction has long been chasing. Meanwhile, the princess devises a trick. Disguised as the emperor, she sends Sekfan away on a false errand, pretending she wishes to go hunting. She hands him what she claims to be the royal sword. Siobo then visits Khan Nam in prison, promising to deal with Sekfan. Khan Nam quickly trains him on how to harness his newfound power to use against the enemy. Sekfan eventually arrives at the designated spot, only to be met by Siobo and the princess instead of the emperor. Realizing he's been deceived, he draws the so-called royal sword to fight, only to realize it's a pocket knife. Siobo and the princess erupt into laughter as Sekfan seethes in humiliation. Sekfan rallies his men and launches a full-scale attack on Siobo. Surrounded, Siobo fights back with surprising agility, using his wits and improvisation to hold them off. Just when the battle threatens to overwhelm him, Lung Er arrives. She doesn't fight directly, but instead calls out tactics and strategies, guiding him on how to disarm his attackers. Following her direction, Siobo gradually turns the tide, subduing the men, and even turning them against their master. Furious, Sekfan takes up his sword and charges at Siobo. Their duel is fierce and chaotic, spilling into a secret cave. Inside, both men are stunned to discover the legendary treasure tied to the secret of the Sutra of 42 chapters, mountains of gold glittering in the darkness. yet neither is willing to stop fighting. As they battle among the riches, Siobo accidentally triggers a booby trap. Hidden blades begin flying through the cave. Both men are struck and wounded, while the women dodge frantically. Even badly injured, Sekfan refuses to relent. He summons every ounce of his inner strength and launches a devastating attack. Siobo counters with all he has, but the blow leaves him reeling, nearly defeated. Lung'er rushes to his side and teaches him a desperate technique. She urges him to endure immense pain in silence, and at the breaking point unleash one final scream that will amplify his power. Siobo follows her instructions. At the climax of the battle, he releases a thunderous scream that destabilizes Sekfan, driving him directly into the claws of a massive golden dragon statue, killing him instantly. But the exertion also knocks Siobo unconscious. When he wakes, Lung'er suggests destroying the golden dragon, claiming it would mark the end of the Qing dynasty. But Siobo shakes his head. To him, it no longer matters which dynasty rules. The current young emperor is kind, and that is enough. Lung'er agrees. Returning to the palace, Siobo covers his tracks. He presents Sekfan's body as though he executed him under imperial orders, while secretly freeing Kan Nam. Together with his wives and Kan Nam, he attempts to slip away quietly. But their escape is intercepted. The emperor himself arrives with his soldiers, having been tipped off by Siobo's opportunistic friend, Duo Long. The emperor condemns Siobo for killing Sekfan, his trusted new courtier, and for releasing Kan Nam, a traitor. Cornered, Siobo bows respectfully, then leans close to the emperor and speaks with cold honesty. He now wields immense power, strong enough to kill the entire army and even take the emperor's head if he wished. The young ruler is visibly shaken, but Siobo softens. He admits that despite his ability, his heart is kind, and he could never bring himself to harm the emperor. All he asks is to be allowed to leave in peace. The emperor spares Siobo and agrees to his request. He declares to the court that Siobo has been executed, his corpse dumped, and that any surviving accomplices escaped. As far as history will record, Siobo no longer exists. Before departing, the emperor shares a quiet moment with him. He whispers that they will always remain friends, entrusting Siobo with the safety of his sister, the princess, and urging him to treat her well. With that, he bids him goodbye. The story closes on his hearty, triumphant laugh because the emperor fell for his bluff. If Wei Sio can survive deadly nuns, backstabbing warlords, and way too many jealous wives, then you can definitely survive hitting that like button. And if you really want to join the secret society of legends, smash subscribe so you don't miss the next wild ride. Trust me, no kung fu required, just one click.